Granddaughter of the second president of the Independent Republic of the Philippines, Socorro Alicia Rastrollo Quirino, came to be known as CORY Quirino, the advocate and the face of beauty and wellness of women in the country. She hosted a late-night talk show in the 1980s and eventually anchored her own show in one of the major TV networks. As one who gracefully maintained her beauty and wellness, she became a favorite figure and guru when it comes to health and fitness. Now more than 20 years in the TV industry, she reached stellar heights as well as weathered personal and professional storms, demonstrating that beauty should not be just skin deep, but from an inner strength to carry you through. Let's get up close and personal with a woman that inspires many others to be beautiful inside and out here on Dynamic Living.
Sigurado ka mga gusto ninyo ang inyong mga tingog na dugan kalooban. We'll take a very short break and then we return. Your opinion, these are things do you have in mind that you believe could end your needs and that which first world-class care ay nabibigay ng mga tao dito sa Pilipinas. It is a very sentimental and whatever the problem for all seasons, well-known lifestyle, beauty, and wellness guru, TV host, columnist, as well as an author. The ever-radiant and beautiful Miss CORY Quirino is with us. So dear viewers, in Dynamic Living The Total You, we'd like to invite you to join us in the next 60 minutes, as well as we greet our radio listeners, those people who are watching us on YouTube and on the Facebook. We'd like you to join us as we take a journey up close and personal with Miss CORY Quirino. Magandang araw po sa inyo, ma'am.
Magandang umaga din sa inyong lahat. At Dr. Jean, thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here in Dynamic Living, The Total You.
Opo, before becoming a TV personality, Miss CORY, you were a beauty pageant title holder.
Oh.
So when did you start joining beauty pageants?
Actually, a lot of people think that I joined the pageant and that I have won and I have a crown on my head. The truth is, I never joined the pageant. I don't know who started that rumor, but it has become like truth to most people. But the real truth is, for someone who was not allowed by her father not to join a pageant, I was literally locked in my room when someone tried to recruit me through my father, who was very possessive, to join a beauty pageant. And then I ended up managing a beauty pageant myself.
You got the license for the Miss World, you know, the PUBA.
Miss World Philippines.
Philippines, yes.
Actually, I handled Miss World Philippines for 6 years. And I never thought that I would ever manage a pageant. Truth is, I decided on a dare and a challenge. People told me that it was impossible to win the Miss World crown, the ever-elusive blue crown. The Philippines had been waiting for more than 60 years from the time I had managed the license for the Philippines. And I said, why not? Only to see if we could really challenge everyone's general notion of a crown that they said was cursed.
How come it's a curse, you know? Everybody's aiming to have that crown.
Yes, it was cursed because for 60 years, the Philippines never won the crown of Miss World. So when it was offered to me, I did a little quick research on it. I was only given 5 minutes to decide if I was going to accept the invitation of the head office from London, England. They gave me only 5 minutes to decide. I had to close my eyes, and I actually had a conversation with God. And I said, give me an answer, yes or no. And the scales were tipped towards the yes. And I said, okay, I'll try it out and see if I'm good at this and I can make every Filipino's dream come true. That finally the blue crown would come home to the Philippines.
Which it did.
It did after 3 years, with a lot of prayers. Somebody asked me, Miss Cory, ano ba talagang ginawa nyo? Alam po ninyo, siguro sinabi ni Lord, napakakulit itong babaeng ito. Dasal ng dasal para manalo ang Pilipinas at makuha ang corona ng Miss World. At sabi ni Lord, sige na nga para tumigil na siya, ang kulit niya.
So you think, Miss Cory, that it would have made a difference if you were a beauty title holder yourself and with that of managing that affair?
Actually, in truth, the best people to manage a pageant are those who joined a pageant and won a crown, because they know the rigors, the challenges, and the difficulties of becoming a beauty queen. In my last meeting with national license holders from all over the world in Washington, D.C., that was the last pageant I managed in 2017. I was approached by so many license holders just before our meeting, and they said, what is it about the Philippines that the Philippines, no matter what pageant it is, keeps placing and then winning crowns? And I said to them, actually, I have come to the conclusion after 6 years of being in the beauty pageant business that the Filipina is already born a beauty queen. All she needs is a crown on her head to validate that. What do you mean? I'm saying it's in our genetic composition. It's in our genetic predisposition. Very much like Venezuela. That's their consciousness.
That's true. That's true. So they do get to have the crown, every now and then. So Miss Cory, what would have, what difference will it have made if, the young people of today would wish, to aim for that crown, and should they not get the crown, what would be your advice to them?
That's what I keep telling all the candidates who were aiming for the crown. I always counsel them before, or used to counsel them before and after the pageant. Those that were willing to listen would stay on and open their minds and hearts to me and try again. It is inside your very spirit, whether you give up quickly or you consider this as a lesson and try harder next time. It is those that don't quit that actually win in the end.
Actually, that very motto that you have, is actually the guiding principle of, in every day that we do, the things that we do, the decisions that we make, the goals that we have in life.
That never give up attitude, the kind of bravado in your spirit and in your heart that says, so, okay, this time it's a no, but there's a bigger door opening for me. I see this as a means to a greater end for me.
And which has been your guiding principle throughout your life too, right?
Exactly. I was raised by my parents with a lot of love, but I admit that my father was overly domineering and possessive of his eldest daughter. So he deprived me of exercising my inner sense of freedom and independence. And which is why probably as the years passed, I really exerted every effort I could muster within me to be free and independent. And I was surrounded by 4 brothers. So you see, I thought for a while, and this is true, I thought that I was just one of the boys. I didn't think that I was a girl, in the sense of being so feminine and so submissive, which is the original traditional role of being a woman. So I grew up playing boys' games, climbing trees. I would make the best, up to now, I can make the best tirador pellet because I'm good at tirador and climbing trees and out racing my brothers in the bike and diving into the pool. things that boys like to do. So I guess believing that you have the power of a boy makes you feel that you are more than just a boy. You're also a woman with the superpowers of a boy at that time.
At the time,
Remember, during that time, in the 60s and 70s, it's always the eldest son that is given more importance.
And leads the pack, so to speak.
That's right. But I proved my parents wrong, because in the end I was the one managing the house when they were abroad and holding the keys to the house and ordering my brothers around. So I was the commander-in-chief, so to speak.
And would you say that, you know, having that spirit, you know, the will, the desire to be able to have your own freedom from that kind of upbringing is the one that's bringing you where you are now?
I also feel that my mother used to tell me that as a child I was very quiet. Never gave her problems, always very responsible. And yet, as I grew up, I'm not the quiet child.
So
On the contrary, my whole life has been talking and talking and talking to people and connecting with others, trying to plant seeds of change and transformation in them.
Would you say, Miss CORY, that, you know, that kind of person that you are now is actually the byproduct of that, you know, being shy, being not so vocal about it?
That is true. You have to embrace the other side of you in order to completely embrace the totality of who you are. And so it's good. It doesn't mean that if you are shy or if you were shy as a child, it doesn't mean you will continue to be so when you grow up.
So aside from all of this, you know, managing that beauty pageant business, you know, you also diversified and went into TV hosting, writing, and everything else. What drives you?
First and foremost, I'm really, truly a writer. That's my first love, to write. Originally, my first dream was to become a manansala or an amorsolo. And that is why I told my father that I wanted to go to Spain to study fine arts. Only to find out when I got to Madrid, the entrance exams in the university were just so mind-boggling. For you to even enter the Universidad de Bellas Artes in Madrid, Spain, you already have to be an accomplished artist and to be a master of composition. So I said, I'm not ready. So I had to study in another school just to prepare me for the entrance exams.
And then after that entrance exam,
as I finished my courses in the different schools, 2 schools at that, to prepare me for the entrance exams, here comes my father completely changing all my plans and says, I'm picking you up in Spain, you're going home.
what made him decide to pick you up?
He found out that I was dating some Spaniards or going out with a group of well-educated men, young men. And he was so utterly possessive of me that he actually flew to Madrid with my mother and my brothers and literally placed me on the plane and said, you're coming home. No, I want to live in Spain. I don't want to go back to the Philippines. He said, no, you're going to grow up a Filipina, not a Madrileña. So, but you see, I was an obedient daughter.
You never resented those, moments wherein he had to pull you out.
I resented it. I said, Dad, this is what I want. But at that time, you are told to respect the decision and the desires of your parents.
And even up
above
to now,
yours.
yeah, and even up to now, it should be, the guiding principle also of young people.
Yes, but in the end, in this day and age of millennials, they know what they want at such a young age. And they assert.
Yeah, they're more assertive
themselves.
than us.
Yes, which is also a good sign. So parents now have to yield. It is not what we want for our children, it's what our children want for themselves. They have to determine their own future and identities. Our only role is to guide them. That's all.
There has to be a balance between
That's
what they
right.
want and what we want
I
and
was
what we
raised
believe.
differently. I had to follow until one day I told my dad in the table, I said, in the dining table, I said, Dad, I want to work. I don't want to go back to school anymore. You took me out of Spain. I want to work. What?
How young were you then when you said that?
I was 17.
Uh-huh.
And he said, no, you have to go. That's why I took you out of Spain, so that you can finish your college here. No, I'm not going to college. I'm going to finish. I had already done 2 years of college, so at the time, before I left for Spain. And then he said, no, you can't. Well, I can easily apply for a job. And then,
At that age, 17.
without your help. And then he said, okay, I challenge you. And he shouldn't have. Because I like to be challenged. He said, I challenge you. If you get a job, then you don't go back to school. That's my deal. But I was hired. I was hired as a writer in the public relations department of an advertising agency, Philippine Advertising Counselors. This is what I wanted to do, right? Since I couldn't paint, he dashed my dreams. He bashed all my dreams, you know? So to be an artist, so I said, okay, I'll be an artist with words. And I got my first training in public relations there. But then again, over the years, as I evolved and I garnered more experience, just a few years back, I said, I want to go back to school. So I availed of CHED's ETIAP program. You know what that is? It's Experience for Diploma Swap.
Yes.
So I went to PWU, Philippine Women's University, and I said, I want my degree. What degree can I get based on my experience? And they said, oh, you can get 2 degrees. One in hotel and restaurant management, HRM, and the other one in communications.
So which did you
Which one do you prefer? I said, which one does the country need most? So it would be tourism. I feel this is the backbone of our economy, one of the backbones of our economy.
At that young age, Miss CORY, you already had this vision. You see, hearing you talk, you know, it seems that you already have a vision. Okay, tourism, this is the way to go. All right, business, being an entrepreneur, this is the way to go. Without even a diploma there to guide you.
Only because my father challenged me. I was so angry with him.
So your anger and the challenge of your father was the motivating force.
Yes. I was so mad at him. But anyway, you never regret your decisions in life. You just build on those decisions and then work your way from there. Nothing is ever really the wrong decision.
So when you got your diploma in tourism,
PWU, I graduated at the same time with Boy Abunda. we got degrees. But then PWU called me, oh, you can go for your master's already and your PhD. Which course? I said, oh, I still want to get another diploma for public communications, public relations. But then I'm thinking now.
Okay, so after that, you went into, the wellness. Parang there's a transition. The Miss CORY, the rebellious daughter who went into this just to spite the father and eventually loved it. And then eventually you went into the wellness, So there's parang pinagtagpi-tagpi lang siya. It's not really a transition from one to the next. Parang it was a holistic approach to something. So again, what drove you into that area?
Okay, now this is a revelation to you. My mother told me, ever since I was little, this is a really true story. She saw me walking around the house with a tomato. And she said, what are you doing with that tomato? I was holding it and biting onto the tomato. What are you doing with that tomato? Mom, I want to eat the tomato. And she said, no, I have an apple in the refrigerator. Go get the apple. No, Mom, my tomato is my apple. and she laughed. And she said, are you my daughter? I said, yes, I think so. Why? Because you're so different from your other brothers and sisters. Every day, my father would have steak. And he will put it on our plates. And it would be medium rare. As early as the age of 8.
You didn't want that?
No, but because I knew Daddy would be upset if I didn't eat it, I would cut it into little pieces. I was totally horrified by the sight of blood. I would cut it into little pieces, and every time he'd turn to his left to talk to my mother, I would give it to our dog,
Who
our
is
pet,
under
who was beside me
beside
all the
you
time.
all the time.
So every time my dad would look that way, I would go this. Until the time when my dad would look at my plate, he would tell my brothers, "Boys, what a good girl CORY is. She finished all her steak." And of course, my brothers would see this drama happening before their very eyes. And they would say to me, "You're right." And they would be forced to finish their steak. But even at the age of 8, I didn't want to eat meat.
But then, through those years, okay, so 8 years of age, you didn't want to eat meat. So eventually, at what age did you decide, okay, I'm done with this. I really want, to follow what, just walking around eating and biting on a tomato?
Yes, I decided at the age of late 20s, I decided that already at that time I was not eating steaks. In my late 20s, I decided I'm going to completely drop red meat and pork, beef and pork, and I will reduce my diet or limit my diet to fish and organic chicken.
But you never did, do research on that, or
No.
you just, thought na, okay, this is what I want to do with my health.
Okay, I believe that the seeds were already in my heart from the time I was a child, but I only had a reawakening or an awakening when one day my boss at the Hyatt Regency Manila said to me, "CORY, in 2 weeks we're going to have a sit-down dinner, VIP sit-down dinner. I want you to put together the menu and the invitation list." 2 weeks, I said.
Too short.
It doesn't give me enough time to prepare. Well, I'm sorry, but that's my decision. So the first thing I did was, what am I going to wear?
Siyempre, babae.
Being a real
yun yung
girl.
una.
So I said, what am I going to wear? So I opened my closet. I pulled out my favorite cocktail dress, and I couldn't zip it up. So I weighed myself on the scale. I had gained 15 pounds working for the hotel because I was always entertaining. So I said, how did this happen? How could I have gained 15 pounds and not know it? So I said, look, being Ilocana, I'm not going to buy a new dress. I challenged myself. So I hung the dress outside where I could see it every day, and it was my inspiration to be able to fit into that dress in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
So I had to lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks. At that time, I was already in the gym. And there were a lot of women who joined me in aerobics. At the time, aerobics was the most popular
Yes, that's
exercise.
true.
And I lost the 25,
15
pounds. I lost the 15 pounds in 2 weeks. And the women noticed it. That was the start of my advocacy because the women would ask me questions after every aerobic session. It was like I was giving a session, a workshop on how to stay slim and fit in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. So what I did was, I was actually getting tired of being approached by all these women because they were not following the rules. And then I would have to monitor them because they'll say, "Wow, how come it doesn't work for me?" So I said, is it me? Is there something wrong with me in the way I am teaching? Or is there something else within every human being that determines their success or failure in, let's say, as simple a thing as losing weight? What is it? So I decided to write the book, Forever Young. A guide to fitness.
This time, you now combined your love for writing
Yes.
and your passion for living, healthy
Right.
and all the likes. Yes.
Right. So I said, the next time, once the book was published and launched, and then I did the first aerobics video, I tied up with a famous gym, Slimmer's World, and they sponsored that video. It was the first celebrity workout ever made in the Philippines. Another first. And funny thing is, I don't even have a copy of it sold out. So it was supposed to be a complementary portion of my book. The book became a bestseller to the point that Mrs. Socorro Ramos, the owner of National Bookstore, asked me to see her at her office. And she said, she only asked me one question. Can you please explain to me how it is possible for your book
To become.
a bestseller and it beat our all-time historic bestsellers, which are cookbooks? Mrs. Ramos, now you're challenging me. Maybe I should do the healthy cookbook. According to my version. Oh, that's a good idea. But explain to me why.
So
Your
what did you
book
tell her?
outsold all my other cookbooks that have been consistently in the bestsellers list. It's very simple, Mrs. Ramos. People don't want to get sick, and if they do, inevitably that they do because the body ages, they would like to prolong their lives or at least invest in preventive measures in order to prolong their lives and still look good in the process. Besides,
Actually, when you really look at it, okay, from the medical point of view, for you to be able to live quality life, because eventually the aging process is there. The generation really catches up with us. But for you to stay young, beautiful, have a quality life, I think that's the one that matters.
exactly. That's what I was trying to explain to Mrs. Ramos. And she said, I understand now. Could you please write more wellness books for us? I said, I will. So my last book was a collaboration with Jimmy Licauco. He took care of the mind and how you process your thoughts, how you do positive thinking or programming the brain to think positively. And I took care of the body and the heart. So it's really a total wellness book.
Yeah, so that means it's a holistic approach towards the totality of a
That's
person.
right.
Miss Cory will take a very short break, and
Okay.
when we return, we'll continue on with this beautiful discussion that we have. I am also learning from you. Please stay tuned.
We are people, and we love to get connected. We connect as families because of birth. We connect as friends because we click. And we connect as communities because we care. Seventh-day Adventists are people who connect in communities called congregations, which in turn connect to form conferences, who connect together to form unions, divisions, and the General Conference. Why do we connect? It starts with a connection to the Creator, who invites us on a spiritual journey. When we journey together, we can help each other along the way. This journey is a journey of a lifetime, and as we learn and grow, life becomes filled with meaning and purpose. Our greatest joy is in helping others along the way. Wherever you are on your journey, we believe that we have something to offer that can make your life more whole. So the next time you see a Seventh-day Adventist, remember, you're not looking at someone who stands alone. They are connected to a world church that has 18 million members, gathered in 13 divisions, comprised of 122 unions, formed by 600 conferences, serving in 140,000 congregations in 208 countries, who worship in 924 languages, and they all want to connect with you.
Granddaughter of the second president of the Independent Republic of the Philippines, Socorro Alicia Rastrolio Quirino, came to be known as CORY QUIRINO, the advocate and the face of beauty and wellness of women in the country. She hosted a late-night talk show in the 1980s and eventually anchored her own show in one of the major TV networks. As one who gracefully maintained her beauty and wellness, she became a favorite figure and guru when it comes to health and fitness. Now more than 20 years in the TV industry, she reached stellar heights as well as weathered personal and professional storms, demonstrating that beauty should not be just skin deep, but from an inner strength to carry you through. Let's get up close and personal with a woman that inspires many others to be beautiful inside and out here on Dynamic Living.
Sigurado ko mga gusto ninyo ang inyong mga tinuod matunggan karong emosyon. We'll take a very short break and then we return. Do you have particular things do you have in mind that you believe could endure our needs and that which first world class care kaya natin ibigay sa mga tao? It is a very better and whatever the Welcome back to Dynamic Living, the Total You, with our episode here, Up Close and Personal with Miss CORY QUIRINO. Ma'am, kanina po, we were talking about the book na you wrote, di po ba, how it came about. So, do you think na that book really helped a lot of Filipino women?
I believe so because I have such a strong following and loyal following of women and men that everything just evolved. You see, I have always wanted to write a book Forever Young. Before it became a book, it was a segment in my TV show, which was called City Life. That segment was called Forever Young. It was such a popular segment. And then it inspired me to write the book. But if it weren't for these women in the gym who kept nagging me every day, it would not have driven me to write the book. So I have to thank these women. But I have not followed up if they have reached their wellness goals.
Yung monitoring na lang ang kulang natin doon.
I want to know, did it succeed or not?
But then
in the
again,
end-
you have another book coming,
Yes.
right?
Actually, I wrote a series of books Forever Young. And then my ABCs to Wellness. So it's like a little booklet. So people will remember letter A, letter B, letter C. And then my final book is a collaboration with Jimmy Licauco. It's called Super Mind, Super Body. The original title I wanted was Super Mind, Sexy Body. But the publishers thought that super and super was more appropriate.
Yeah. And it's
Well,
easier to remember.
Yeah, well, I wanted sexy. Because everyone wants to be sexy.
That's true. And even men today, you know.
Exactly.
They're not, you know, years back, 20, 30 years back, ang makikita mo who would want to go to the beauty shops, who would want to have themselves, you know, pampered are the women. But today you get to see even quite a number of men, more than the women these days.
I was pleasantly surprised because the segment in my show, City Life, inspired me to write the book Forever Young. And then I started being invited by many companies, associations to do a speaking engagement. So I was in the speaker circuit already, teaching people to be well. But the wellness advocacy evolved into empowerment. It's not so much wellness anymore, but it's really empowering the self. So this is what I do. 50% of the time I'm speaking before big audiences. And then it inspired me to have my own teleradyo on DZMM.
Which is actually the Mabuti
Mabuti po naman.
Yes.
And so I asked the writers, why did you choose the title Mabuti po naman? And their reasoning was, because it's common to ask someone, kamusta po kayo? Ang sagot nila ay, mabuti po naman. Pero si Miss CORY QUIRINO ang anchor ng show, di kailangan maging mabuti po naman. Pleasantly surprised because in the latest survey, it showed that I thought I only had a stronger female following. Turns out that 50% of my audience is male and 50% female.
And what was the age range? You'll be surprised by the age range.
Really?
Yes.
The age range is from 30 to 60.
So wala pa yung ating mga kabataan pa dito, no?
No, but it turns out if they do a maybe more thorough survey, that even the daughters of mothers are following me now.
Yes.
I know, because when I'm invited to speak before high school students or college students, it's always a hit with them. I'm able to connect.
So would you say, Miss CORY, that, being so busy writing, going around speaking and telling people about wellness, it has added a sense of fulfillment on your part?
I'm happy when I'm able to plant a seed of change, or I'm able to change someone's mind or perception to something positive, life-affirming, because one of the best times that I thought that this is what I want to do is when I spoke for a wellness event, and this man approached me and said, young man approached me and said, "Thank you, Miss CORY." He said, "My father and I have had this love-hate relationship for many years, and I reached the point of total hatred towards him. But after hearing you speak, I'm going to my father today to embrace him."
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing, di ba?
I was in tears when I heard him say that.
I mean, to be a factor for good is
Yes.
really something that, enhances you as a
Yes.
human being. But let's go back. I'll backtrack a little bit. Your life has not been that rosy all along. And we know also, it's an open book that you were a victim of kidnapping.
That's in 95.
Yeah, that was in 1995. And I think I was in college back then. No, I was already in, practicing as a medical doctor when it happened. It, was a big thing there in the news. So what were the learnings that you got from that experience?
Actually, when I was in the midst of all my darkness and panic and fear, that's when I realized what total fear meant. In Filipino, it's not yung kinatatakutan ng isang tao o takot, matinding takot. Someone told me the right word for it is sindak. In English, I do not know.
The equivalence of that.
I don't think there's an equivalent in English. I have known the meaning of fear in its most organic form. But when you're in the middle of a life and death situation, you do know that you need a lifeline. And that lifeline is not human.
You need
know that.
somebody extraordinary.
The natural way of your spirit is to call out to your father.
Of course.
And that's what I did. And despite all the learnings from nuns and priests from a Catholic upbringing, I was praying my normal Our Father, Hail Mary, Glory be. But there were
During
no
the time.
rescuers in sight because I was taken by 5 armed men after my taping in Lake Caliraya, Laguna. And I said, "What's happening? I'm supposed to be rescued now. I just said my Our Father, Hail Mary, and Glory Bees." And then when they took me to Quezon National Park, and I didn't know at that time that was Quezon
You were
National
there,
Park. In short, nag-tour ako ng Quezon at Bicol region. Laguna, Bicol, and Quezon. I toured that in my entire 21-hour ordeal in the car.
Were you blindfolded?
No. And I knew enough to know that if your captors do not blindfold you, they intend to get rid of you.
Yes.
That is your natural instinct for self-preservation. You just know the truth when you are faced with balisongs and guns. But at the time when they shot my driver in Quezon National Park, and they threw his clothes at my feet, and I was with my wardrobe assistant in the dark of night because it was a moonless night. And when they said, "Ayan, damit ng patay. Kailangan sumunod ka sa lahat ng gusto namin. Paano mo tutubusin ang buhay mo? Nakuha na namin ang lahat ng pera at alahas mo." Okay, what's the answer to that? Of course, they want to rape you. What else?
Yes.
At that very moment, I really truly prayed. I knew the meaning of prayer.
At that instant.
Yes. The only way to pray is to surrender. Because if you don't surrender completely, you will not be saved.
So would you say, so during the time, Miss Cory,
At that moment.
yeah, at that moment, you had sindak, nasindak ikaw.
Of course.
And then
I
here
was afraid.
yeah, you were very much afraid. Of course, who wouldn't be? But at one hand also, you also realize at that moment, that it is something beyond anybody else, capacity to help you except somebody higher than you are.
Definitely. Your soul cries out for someone greater than you, greater than any human being. So, the prayer that came to my mind, it was like I was being guided. Do you know that? I surrendered. When I surrendered, this is what I told the Lord. And I want to share this with everyone because I promised God that I would share my advocacy since you asked me. I simply said this: Lord, you gave me life, then only you have the power to take it. These men have no power over me, despite their guns and balisongs. So, think about it. I said, you can take my life now, and I will surrender my life to you, but I have one condition. I take them all with me, because they will continue to hurt and oppress other people. That was my reason. So even if I surrendered my life, I had a condition with the Lord. I said, you can take me, but I take them all with me. It was a death wish. And then at that moment, before the prayer entered my head, I said to the Lord, but think about it. I'm still young. You can still use me. At that particular split second, a prayer entered my head. Blood of Christ, cover me and deliver me from danger. That's all. It was like a lifeline. And I said, what is this? I never learned this prayer before. Blood of Christ, huh? It was not Christ, cover me with your blood. It was blood of Christ, cover me. I was never taught that prayer. But I held on to it. Blood of Christ, cover me and deliver me from danger. Blood of Christ. I kept praying and praying that until I was rescued the next day by the Philippine National Police of Calauag, Quezon.
So you can just imagine and marvel, how much you have been through. And now look at Miss Cory. She has these advocacies, against a lot of things. One would be the wellness, another one would be the totality, another one. I know you also have this ally sa, PGA.
Yes, but before we do that, remember, I told the Lord I would propagate the prayer and faith. You need to have faith in order to be saved.
So what did you do then?
But before you have to have faith, the test of real faith is surrender. And when you surrender, everything's going to be okay. Miracles will happen. So what happened was, Carlo J. Caparas and Donna, may she rest in peace, his wife, they kept knocking on my door. As soon as they heard about the story, they wanted to do the movie. I kept saying, no, I'm not ready. No, I'm not ready. Instead, I wrote the book in 2 weeks. No, 2 months.
2 months after that ordeal.
2 months. I wrote the book, and that was my therapy. I never went to see a therapist because they say I was a classic case of PTSD.
Yeah, post-traumatic stress
disorder. And what I did was I wrote the book, Waiting for the Light. This is what I did. I kept waiting for the sun to rise. I would look in the back of the car. I kept waiting for the sun to rise because I knew that if the sun would rise, I would be saved. I would be rescued. That's the title of the book, Waiting for the Light. I wrote that book and I shared my prayers. So I told Carlo, gusto mong gawin ng pelikula ko? Oh, yes. At any cost. Name your price. Okay. My condition is this. You must propagate my prayer. Ano? Ang massacre king ng Pilipinas?
Magpa-prayer.
Maglalagay ng dasal sa kanyang pelikula? Yes, that's my condition. They agreed. And that is why that movie propagates the prayer, blood of Christ, cover me and deliver me from danger.
Because you see, if you notice, Miss Cory, we know also people, who've been abducted, who's going through the same thing that you went through. And yet, tend to shy away from sharing that horrible experience with the public. So what drove you, that, okay, I am now ready so that people will know what happened and so that I can bring, the light to these other people?
You see, one thing led to the other. In my life, really there are no accidents. Maybe I was really meant to be kidnapped. Maybe I was really meant to be used, which is true. I don't mind. I already committed. It's my covenant, and that's for life. After I was kidnapped, I was approached by the Crusade Against Violence with a group of Dante Jimenez
Yes.
and Calauro Visconde and Martin Dino, and they asked me to be one of the founding pillars of VACC, Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption.
Yes.
And I'm still with them today, to this day, as vice president. And I head the division for crimes against women and children. So you see, my wellness advocacy isn't so much about being healthy, having a long life, looking beautiful. Really deep down inside, it's about empowerment, knowing there is life inside you and you must nurture that spirit of life in you. But it has to start from within.
And women today, we all do know that women today should be as empowered as you are.
Yes, and you see, I didn't know I was empowered until I found myself in situations, life and death situations, that really called out the best in you. You do know that there is a Gabriela Silang inside of you. That's what I said. And I remember when I was interviewed, oh gosh, that was the time of Mama Sapano. No, not Mama Sapano. It was the time of the, oh gosh, let me see. Hold on, let me thinking. Kuratong Baleleng.
Yes.
I remember it was the height of Kuratong Baleleng, and I was interviewed, press conference, and I said, okay pala what did I say? There was a term that was so popular during, okay pala mag-rub out. Kailangan ubusin ng lahat ng mga kriminal.
So those were your
That was
words.
the time in the height of my anger. I was so angry that there are criminals oppressing someone. At this moment, someone is being oppressed. Someone is being hurt.
So
Someone's rights being taken away from them. At this moment. So I can understand. I can relate. Because I was a victim of crime. And I can understand what President Duterte is saying.
Because you've been there.
Yes, that's why it really went viral when I said, okay pala mag-rub out. Oh my goodness, what did I say? But I was angry. You have to understand, when you become a victim of crime,
Or of
you
violence.
want justice.
Or of violence, Miss Curry.
Of violence. You want justice.
Of course.
You truly want justice. But me, I realized in the end, since I don't subscribe to violence as a person and as a Christian, I would follow the law. What are the rules of law? I would follow that. Because so many people, generals, approached me and asked me, do you want us to take care of your kidnappers in jail? Because we can easily eliminate them. I said, at the time when I blurted out those words, I was truly angry. And it's true. Those were honest words. But then the values in me that respect life, I would follow the law. So I know you mean well by offering to eliminate my kidnappers. But no, it would be on my conscience. And my conscience cannot take.
So aside from this, advocacies that you have, you also, you are actively involved in the Philippine National Red Cross. You have
Yes.
allies sa PGH, as a matter of fact.
That's right. I'm a director of the PGH Medical Foundation and a director of the Muntinlupa branch, Rizal chapter of the Red Cross.
Now you have a book, you're going around, touring around, giving lectures and seminars. You have a TV program, you have a radio program. So let's see, how does Miss CORY QUIRINO have all the energy and time for all of this? Para bang, ano na lang, hindi na ba ito natutulog?
Oh my goodness, I really treasure my sleep. And I've come to realize that you reach a turning point in your life. There's always a fork in every every portion of your life, there is a fork. And you stand there and you ask yourself, what is really most important to you? So I had to give up one thing. I had to give up the pageant because it is not something that defines me. It gave me a lot of pleasure and fulfillment to develop queens, to see them have a crown on their heads, to bring honor and glory to the country, to bring happiness to all the beauty pageant followers worldwide. Finally, the blue crown is in the Philippines. But after we won in 2013 with Megan Young, somehow the taste for the challenge was diminishing.
So kumbaga, after the adrenaline rush, you find na it's not something that I would want to maintain.
All my life. That's why I tell people, a beauty pageant, even from the very beginning, did not define me. I was challenged by that impossibility.
So it was the impossibility that actually pushed you.
Yes. I was intrigued, I was challenged, I was motivated, I was inspired. We won the crown. After that, I asked myself, and then what? We win again. And then what? You win again. Correct?
Yes, that's true.
But then, it was taking so much of my time and my energy and my passion that I was giving less and less time to my wellness and empowerment advocacy.
Which
So
you
I had to
believe,
make a decision.
Yeah, which you believe will go a longer way.
Yes.
And it will. Okay, let me follow that through, Miss CORY. What defines CORY QUIRINO?
What defines any person? The continuous asking of yourself to do more, to do better, to be greater than who you are today. I still want to do more. I'm still looking for that more. I'm 65 years old,
Doesn't look like it.
right? But I want to live to 120 if it's possible, or if that's not possible, 101. So which means
Tawad
that
pa rin,
I'm
ha?
only halfway. So I still have half of my life to keep on transforming myself and redefining myself. The truth is, the definition of youth and agelessness is to never stop evolving. Because if you tell yourself, hanggang dito na lang ako, this is it, this is my life, this is who I am, then you will not become ageless. Because you must never tell yourself, it's finished, this is my life.
What is there for you to say na kailangan ko pa itong maabot at marating at gagawin? What is that?
I don't know. I'm asking God to fill in the blanks. But I know that I can give more. I can do so much more. It isn't enough. Even being a leader in Rotary District 3830, I've been a Rotarian for more than 20 years. I have been serving. I've been with the Street Children Project of Father Rocky Evangelista, Tuloy Foundation. I've seen that foundation grow from only 7 children, street children, to more than, we're reaching almost 2,000 already. So, but it's not enough. You ask yourself, there's so much poverty in this country, so many children deprived of education or even nutrition.
Basic
Just
need.
basic nutrition. If we could just make our country healthy, this will become a healthier Philippines, a more progressive Philippines.
Yes, because
the
everything
backbone
starts.
of any country is its workforce, is its people.
Now, let's talk about, you also have your own beauty brands.
Yes,
Right? Yeah.
I'm reviving it now that I let go of the pageant. Here comes my business partner. She says to me, now, sit down and we're going to launch a wellness blog and we're going to relaunch your products, repackage them based on my requirements, what I feel every Filipina and Filipino needs. So now I'm busy working on my wellness blog, Abangan.
So, which of those brands that you have now for your beauty products define you?
Okay, I
Or
feel-
best describe you?
Okay, the core foundation of my belief in wellness is virgin coconut oil. And that's so popular today because it's part of the keto diet.
Yes.
So popular, the keto diet. But virgin coconut oil is in the heart of my advocacy. Even that will translate to a national advocacy because of the President Elpidio Quirino Foundation, of which I'm a trustee. One of the projects that I told my family I would adopt and embrace would be the environment and agriculture. Our country needs to replant, for starters only, 100 million coconut trees.
And that's not impossible to attain.
It's not impossible, but we need government backing
Yes.
for that and government funding.
Provided the government understands what you want
They
and
do.
wish to. So I think
I
it's
just
not,
need to push them. The Philippine Coconut Authority already gave me the title of Coconut Ambassadress of the Philippine
Of the
Coconut Authority, so why not use that as leverage? It will benefit more than 3.5 million coconut farmers that we have. Why not? Replant 100 million coconut trees, but actually we need 1 billion coconut trees.
So just start with that, and then
Start with
eventually it
100
grows.
million.
Yes. So in one word, Miss CORY, how would you describe yourself?
One word.
Yeah,
I
just
think
in
the
one
word
word.
would be passionate. I'm passionate about everything that I do. I know the word passionate has been overused and sometimes underrated, but there is so much passion in everyone. It is the very life force, one that motivates you, inspires you to do so many things, even if it's the littlest things, doing it well. And I am inspired by the words of my grandfather, President Elpidio Quirino, when he said, "I never strived to be great. I never had the dream to be great," he said. I always just wanted to be excellent in my ways. And the foundation of passion is excellence.
Yes. And so your message of hope to our viewers.
My message of hope is simply this. Of course, in Filipino, they always say, bukas sisikat din ang araw, right? The sun always rises in your heart, but it must rise for you every day. Every day of your life, take advantage of every second, of every minute, every hour of your life, because it is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Use the present as a real gift. But every time you do, when you wake up in the morning, adopt the principle and the law of gratitude. Give thanks.
Because that is actually the very basic foundation of our faith in God.
That's right.
Dear viewers, alam ko po na kayo ay natuwa naman na nakinig sa amin at nanood sa amin dito sa aming napakagandang interview with Miss CORY Quirino, no less than the Miss CORY Quirino. And dear viewers, we have this as our parting shot, empowering ourselves, finding that love for ourselves, being passionate with what we do will go a very long way. Little things, we start with little things, but when we are banded together, then we can make a better place, a better nation, and a better, for everything in our lives, for our children and for every one of us. Even in Proverbs 31:30-31, it says, "A woman who fears the Lord will be greatly praised." Magandang araw po sa ating lahat.
Amen, Dr. Ajit.
Dynamic living, making the best of you on fire. Dynamic living, sharing the faith, we're giving the love and bringing the total you.
If you have been blessed by this program, share hope and help us continue to bring hope everywhere. Send your donations to South Philippine Union Conference through any of the bank details shown here. Hope Channel, sharing love, changing lives.
Sometimes trials are like big waves. They knock you down. Sometimes you get a chance to get up. And sometimes, oops, don't worry, you'll be alright.